Welcome, everyone. This is the mix of which is a tropical nature. We are live here and welcoming you to the episode, this very latest episode of the podcast. I'd like to introduce my comrades. In the top left, we have Brett Tank Gloves Tiger Briley.
Oh my god, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Oh, he unplugged his mic.
Yeah.
Very nice. What's up,
It
guys?
happens to the
Stay
best of
back
us.
here. It does happen to the best of us.
Yes, it does. I don't know if we're talking about my microphone being janked out, but that's
We were.
okay. Well, Brett, I don't know if anyone else were able to introduce themselves after you.
No, we waited.
All right. We'll go to Cullen, live from the set of Bug Snacks. He is
Like a charted forward.
he basically said fuck you audio listeners. To the left we have Gabe at a nondescript coffee shop.
Howdy doody.
And we have all of you, the audience, here as well, across the world, across the galaxy.
Mr. Worldwide.
And we have Nathan.
Oh yeah, and I'm Nathan. I just have a nondescript white wall behind me. No location, no nothing.
He's in prison.
I'm in prison. It's a minimum security prison. Podcast recordings allowed.
Yeah. On Sundays.
Yeah, it is nice. That's what jaywalking gets you. So, yes. Well, we are here to talk about the year of 2022 and the year of our Lord Pixel, because that's the deity that we all are ascribing our hobby to, the Pixel. Any pixel
Google.
that you play any video game on. And no, I'm not talking about the phone, but good catch.
Earbuds? Laptop.
There's that brand can stretch. It's so stretchy.
Yeah.
So we have compiled a list of the best years or the best games of the year of 2022. But
Also-
before we begin, yes,
Also, just the best games we've played this year. Sometimes we play older games that didn't come out this year. So
absolutely.
we just want to make that clear at the beginning here. Might not have come out this year, but if we played it this year, it could still make our list.
Yes, for sure. Games that we played in the year 2022 that meant to the most of us so much that we're going to put them on a list and publish them verbally. Broadcast. Well, anything else before we begin?
No.
No? Okay. Why are you wearing a hoodie in a tropical environment?
It's made out of wool, so I made it myself.
It's not very breathable.
No, it is.
But if it's made out of wool, it's not.
It's special.
Special wool.
Straight from Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life.
Straight from God of War 3 or God of War 2, right? The Golden Fleece. Does anybody know that? Is that stretching anybody's Greek mythology? The
I
Golden
don't
Fleece.
remember.
The basically the one that introduced the parry mechanic to God of War, where it's like ching.
Oh, I have
No?
that in. I'm playing Ghost of Sparta right now, and you can do that, but yeah. I don't know
Okay.
anything about wool.
I think it's fleece because it came
It's
from a
whatever.
sheep.
Hmm.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, let us begin. I'm gonna ask Brett to go first because you're in the top left. If you'd like to talk about, I guess your number, your first. I think we're counting from a list of 3.
Yep.
That's what I understood. So, Brett, if you want to come from your third, or if you want to go through honorable mentions, I leave it to you, and then we'll follow suit.
Okay. I'm just gonna do 3 honorable mentions that I played. Also, I'm just I'm gonna post my full list. I'll pin a comment in the video on YouTube. So Spotify or other podcast platform users, you won't be able to see it. But anyway, Rift Apart did not make my top 3. It was sitting at number 1 for, I want to say, like first half of the year. Very good game, very good show of what like next gen systems can do with like absolutely no load times, which was really nice. Gameplay's great as always. The graphics were great as always. Story, I felt could have been a little better, but still a very fun experience. Judgment, which is part of the Yakuza universe. This is a spin-off featuring a detective, so it's not as crime organized or crime centric, I should say, as the other games, but it's kind of fun being a detective. Like, he does different things. He's got different fighting styles. It's not as brutal. The story, I actually think this is one of my favorite Yakuza storylines. The main story, just like, it was mysterious. It was fun. It kept making me want to like see what was going to happen next, and there was like so many twists and turns, and just a really fun game. And then my last one, Death's Door. I think I played this like the first month or so of the year in January. Played it on Game Pass. It's a very fun. I don't know if it's technically considered a Metroidvania, but like it plays like one. Like, you have these different level areas, and then like you unlock new equipment. You can go back and forth. Bunch of secrets. You play as this cute little crow. There's different weapons you can unlock that have varying play styles. Very fun experience. I think the only thing it really needed, and I think I talked to you, Gabe, about this, was it needs a map. Because
Yeah.
like I would find areas where there's secrets, and then I would forget where on the map it was, and then I'd have to spend the next 10-15 minutes running around the area trying to find where I was. So I think a map would make that great. But the music was good, combat was good. I really liked it.
Did you beat it, Brett?
I did, yes. I didn't
Was
like
the last boss really hard?
it,
Because that's where I quit the game.
yes and no. Like, there were varying stages of it that were harder. My main thing was like, you would get to a certain point, and like half the time I would get the checkpoint, and then like half the other time I wouldn't, so I'd be put further back. But like once you learn the attack patterns, I felt like it got a lot easier.
Yeah.
Dude, I swear you played Death's Door like 2 months ago for some reason.
Right.
Like,
I
that's
played
how
it.
fast
I played
the year
it.
went.
I played it before Elden Ring came out,
Yeah.
and that feels like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Also, what did you said? I swear you played Rift Apart last year. Also.
I think I started it late last year. Well, because when did I get this PS5?
Like, I swear it was like October last year.
I think I started it last year, and then I didn't. Because I'm pretty sure I started Demon Souls last year also, and I just beat that. So
Years are merging together.
yeah, it's been a very long year.
I think we should just all do our honorable mentions, I guess.
You
I can do
wanna-
mine next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My first one is new Super Lucky's Tale. That was a really fun platformer. Reminded me a lot of just playing like Sunshine and Donkey Kong 64 when I was like super young. Yeah, bright and colorful, easy, simple, just like mindless fun. Sifu, awesome. I played on the easiest setting just because I wanted to experience the story and have some fun with the combat without it being too hard.
What system did you play on?
PS5.
Okay, I was gonna say don't play the game Switch version, please.
No, I wouldn't. I thought it worked well on PS5 with how fast you had to be with your moves and things, and the frame rate. I like the artistic direction of the game, how each level felt like its own, with the different like enemies and combat and just sequences you would go through, like in like different hallways or at the museum, awesome level, the nightclub. Um, I like the mechanic of like aging, like and how that would affect your combat and um, the way you play. It definitely got frustrating, like starting out being fast and then slowly getting slower. Just have to just having to adjust the way that you play. And then the last one is Persona 5 Royal. About 40 hours into it on Switch. It's incredible. Um, I've just recruited Queen to the Phantom Thieves, and yeah, the story is really cool. Combat's fun. Um, Everything outside the combat is fun, just like living a life as a high schooler. Uh, Soundtrack, of course, banger. Great.
Real quick, what do you think of like the dungeon catching, like Pokemon versus Pokemon? You know what I mean, like catching the personas versus, you're a big Pokemon fan, so.
I like it, yeah, and I like what you can do after you catch them. Like you can use them or fuse them. Yeah, it's fun. It adds a lot of layers to the gameplay.
Especially when you confuse, 5 of them to make a big boy persona or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think? I'm assuming it's just an honorable mention because you haven't beat it yet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think at the rate it's going, do you think that would be like one of your favorite games of the year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
If I would have beat it, I think it would have been my top 3. But I started it late, October.
And then New Super Lucky Tail. Did you play that on Switch?
I played it on Switch, and it ran like super well on Switch.
Okay. Did you play the original at all? Like the
I did. I played it on Xbox.
Okay. Would you say it's a vast improvement? Because I remember playing the original on Xbox, and like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great either.
Yeah.
Like
No. Yeah. I think there was some visual improvements. The controls were improved. Some quality of life things like the camera. It's like it's fully adjustable in the new one, whereas in the other one it was you could turn it 3 different angles or something.
Okay. Because I think the newer one's on Game Pass, so
Oh yeah,
I'll give it a download. I haven't played
you'd like it, Brett.
platformer in a while, so cool.
My 3 honorable mentions. First, I'm gonna say the King of Fighters 15. I am a huge King of Fighters 13 fan. I've also played a few of the old ones, not as much. 13 is, I think, my favorite fighting game ever. 14 was a little disappointing, but 15 is a good return to form, although it could still be better. I mean, they made the combat more simple to ease in new players, so it's kind of cool. But I probably haven't played as much as I would have hoped by now, but still very fun and pretty good launch. Me and Brett were playing it a little bit when it came out. One of the other ones, it'd be TMNT Shredder's Revenge. That, I think, not every game has to be this enormous, big 3D game, but that game was very well polished. You know, there was a bunch of levels, some collectibles you could get, 4 players, locally. Some consoles you could do 6. You can play with up to 6 people online. It had like engaging trophies, achievements, if in case you like going for those. I think it was a very well-rounded game, and it was at $20, 25, I think, 25.
25 or 30, yeah.
So I think it was worth it at that price, but now it's probably been on sale a bunch. Probably was like 15, 20 for Black Friday, so I would definitely say pick that up. And then my last honorable mention did not come out this year, but I played it like nonstop when I first started it, and that would be SNK versus Capcom Card Fighter Clash. I was telling you guys about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, basically, there's like a Capcom version and an SNK version. So it's kind of like Pokemon, you know, red and blue, whatever. But instead of catching Pokemon, you get cards of like Capcom or SNK characters. They came out in like 2000 or like 99, so there's not a lot of. I mean, obviously nobody after that is in it, but basically how it works is, well, you like if your card is like 600 attack and you kill somebody with 400 attack, then you drop down to 200 attack on that card. If that makes sense. And then you can only have 3 cards out at a time. So basically, you know, you got to strategize whether you want to attack. You also can like attack with 2 or 3 people at the same time to do extra damage. So if you know your opponent doesn't have 3 cards out, then you basically attack their life points, like Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. It's hard to describe, but you know, it's on the Switch. It's like $8. You get both versions. You can trade cards between them, which is really cool because otherwise you can't get out the whole set. So I would say it's worth checking out if you like card games or you're just a big SNK or Capcom fan like I am. But yeah, really, really fun game. So that would be my third and final honorable mention.
As someone who also played a ridiculous amount of Shredder's Revenge, what was your favorite character
Shit,
to play?
I can't recall. Which I think Donatello. Whoever was the fastest one. Like I just like zipping around the screen and then getting like, because you know some enemies spawn on the left, some spawn on the right. You want to keep your combo going, so I think it was Donatello. Whoever was the fastest one. Although the reporter was also pretty good. I know
April. April.
You used her a lot when we played together.
I think April and Casey were my favorites.
Well, Casey's kind of like Shiva, where he's just OP.
Yeah.
But Ninja Turtle wise, yeah, I think it was Donatello.
Does that game have a easy mode?
It's
I think there's
From
3 difficulties.
3 difficulties, yeah.
It wasn't that hard, I don't think. I mean, once you get used to it, but you know, it's good that things have difficulties. Yeah. I actually played God of War Ragnarok on the second easiest, just because I don't have time to do all that.
Wasn't that going to be one of your honorable?
Nah, it's not even an honorable mention.
Damn.
Yeah. We can get into that later.
The internet's
Wow.
going to blame you for that one.
I'm my own person. Well, it probably would have been an honorable mention if we picked 5 like last year. But
Sure.
because we picked 3 and 3 honorable mentions, now it's not on the list.
Nathan.
I'll round up here. Thanks, Brett. I think honorable mentions. Well, I've been 2 games that I've been able to spend a lot of more time that I've been. I guess recently with a newborn, there are games where you're able to like really get quick bites into and able to feel like you're progressing. So those 2 games have been Super Mario 3D World, just I was able to wrap that up. I've been working on that for probably almost a year, but when I had a couple of weeks at home, I was able to work on that and finished. That was really fun. But then also Vampire Survivors. So
Oh
that's
man.
so both those games have just been certainly have saved my just has helped me feel still attached to the hobby even as I invest my time in other very worthwhile um, just towards worthwhile ideas, raising a kid and everything. But for sure, Vampire Survivors being able to just work on that progression and feel like every run you're able to keep pushing forward and unlock something, but also it's particularly in the thinking where you have to plan every step. It you don't I don't feel that pressure that much because it is a game where you're a lot of the attacks are well all the attacks are auto. You're not targeting anything, although there is of course strategies for what weapons you should choose in your runs. And then just another two quick honorable mentions: Maneater, which is that shark RPG. Um, that game is fun. I love sharks and the idea of advancing, from a very small shark and having a story that relates to them and in a setting that really, I think, was meant it is satire of our world and how, especially oceans ecologies, are being impacted by pollution and by us. So that was kind of an interesting twist on that. And then the other, just the fourth one, Metroid Dread, that has been um, not so much of a quick jump in and jump out, but it is a game where it feels like progression is very marked, and that felt really great when you would um, beat an Emmy. You feel like, okay, I got this level's Emmy done. Able to explore a little bit, and there was just a natural path of the story, which always felt great and straightforward. Plus, I think the gameplay is so tight, and the satisfaction of getting more and more upgrades and feeling like, wow, if I just wanted to kill an hour doing collecting upgrades and stuff like that would all feel great while you're watching something and kind of doing some simultaneous stimulation, watching Netflix and collecting missile upgrades at the same time.
I played Dread and I found it hard to like multitask with something else. So I was afraid something would pop up and I'd have to deal with it.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
fun game.
once you're with the, I mean, once you backtrack, I feel like being able to just that's where the multitasking was much more easier for me because you're just kind of scoping out upgrades in a world that you've already cleared a bot or cleared an Emmy out of.
I know when you
Yeah.
first started playing, Nathan, you shared that you were worried that you'd have to do a lot of backtracking. Has that changed?
Well, that's it hasn't not I'm not sure yet. I mean, I mentioned it now. It was just something I started doing today. In fact, now that I feel like I've gotten substantially farther into the story, where I've gotten quite a few um, upgrades, so I haven't really been as in far in the sense of completionist. I'm sure I'm going to hit that wall if I wanted to, clear out all the items in that level. Naturally, as part of the story's um, track, it has felt like there are moments where I'm doubting whether I'm really on the right path. So I'd try to catch a hint online to make sure that I'm going back to this world for a reason, because a level that you beat 2 levels ago may now have an upgrade that you can now access, which makes sense and as you're advancing the story, but it hasn't felt too trying.
I have barely played Metroid, so I'm not really sure. Like, I want to start though next year. That's on my to-do list. Play Metroid. So
After Advance Wars.
I just started Advance Wars. So yeah. All right, Bert. I guess we'll do number 3.
All right. Number 3.
Premiere.
My number 3 was Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered.
Hmm.
As you guys know, I originally played this on PS4, and when I got to that first like brute guy, the fact that like I would dodge him and he would just lunge across screen and still hit me kind of threw me off. And part of the problem was I was comparing it to the Arkham games when the combats play very, very differently. Batman's about being in your face, Spider-Man's about dodging and making sure you get the right kind of hits. So gave it another chance. I still the combat's still not iffy to me, but like I understand it better now and I enjoy it. And I haven't started Miles yet, so this could be something they did improve on, or I could definitely see them improving on it in the sequel if that comes out this year. Um, it's this year, next year, one of the two.
It's not coming
But
out in the next 30 days. So.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. It's
okay,
not.
you know what I meant.
No, you got it.
Okay,
It's facts. You gotta
sorry.
spit facts.
2023. If it comes out in 2023,
Here we go.
watch. They're just gonna surprise drop it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Um,
on a Monday.
but yeah, I mean, like when I started this, like the swinging was just such a wow factor for me. Like the first thing I typically tend to do in open world games is like if there's fast travel points, I'll go and unlock all those, which I did in this game. And then I proceeded to rarely ever use the fast travel points. Just because like swinging around the city was just so damn fun, dude. Like, and the fact there's like no loading was just ridiculous. Like, um, the story was very good. The characters were very well done. I don't want to spoil it, but like the fact that like the focus was on this one character who I thought was going to be the big bad for the whole game, and then he's like the big bad for like 60% of it, and then the next half there's a different villain, and then there's like I don't know, the side content was kind of hit or miss for me. I liked doing the research stations. I hated catching the birds. Um, and then like eventually through the story, you get Taskmaster has his like little challenges around the map, which were some of those were okay, the others weren't. So I didn't finish those, and eventually I just like cruised through to finish the story because the side content was starting to get to me. But yeah, very, very well done game. I'm excited to jump into Miles. I'm probably gonna save that for next gaps in some game releases next year, but I'm excited for that.
What was your favorite suit? Favorite costume?
Oh boy. I was rocking okay in the beginning since you got like all the DLC suits unlocked. I was running that like anime one. And then eventually I switched to I forgot what it was called, but it was like the black suit.
Night Monkey.
No, not Night Monkey suit.
Black with the red
No.
Spider-Man logo.
Yeah.
It's the one I used too, but I can't remember his name. It's been a while.
I'm gonna look this up.
It's not that important.
Yes, it is.
I'm also looking at it. Mine was the Last Stand. That was the one that had like the leather jacket top with the like, black jeans bottom. Great.
Eventually, I did use the 2099 suit.
Oh, nice.
Um, that one was really good. I ran around in the amazing suit and the
Raimi suit.
yeah, which was kind of cool. Um, I just found
Yeah.
some of the other suits were better. So
It's
yeah,
a good, or it was a good selection of suits.
it was a very good and like It was kind of nice because like you could just like you could pick what you wanted to unlock.
Yeah.
Assuming you had the tokens and stuff. But yeah. Oh, they have an undies suit.
Yeah.
Nope. Guess I have to go 100% the game. Dark suit. Dark suit was the one I was using.
Okay. Okay.
That was the one you got from the Black Cat stakeouts. So I started the DLC and I don't know. It's kind of for me.
It was. It was. Did you beat the DLC?
No, I have not.
It was a challenge for me to continue playing the DLC after that huge finale. I just felt like so. Um, I really enjoyed the ending of that game that I was like, I'm gonna take a break on continuing Spider-Man story for now.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
Also,
It, oh,
that ending, fighting 5 different bosses. I mean, that was just insane. Just a great ending to a game.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's like such a Spider-Man thing to do too. So I enjoyed it.
It was a good game.
I can't wait for 2. Number 2. My number 3, I'm gonna go next, is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Brett, you're crazy for not putting this in your top 3. Because this game was crazy.
Do you remember if I put it in my top 5 last year? I can't remember.
I think so. You did.
Or,
Well, this game was my first game on PS5. So I got my PS5 this year, thanks in part to Cullen, who was on the lookout for some reason for PS5s in the wild, even though I was not. And he reserved one for me basically at this Best Buy in a mall. It was about a half hour, like half hour for me normally. But the day that I went to go pick it up, there was a huge snowstorm here. So I could either get it that day or get it the next day when maybe the roads were more clear, it wasn't snowing. So I chose to get it the day that I could have died on the roads.
Worse.
I drove about an hour there and back to get it, but it was like memorable because I really wanted it, and it was worth it because I got to bring it home that night and play Ratchet and Clank, just like I had on PS2 years ago. Kind of relive that experience of just playing a new Ratchet and Clank game, and those opening moments of that game were just breathtaking. Like visually, like this, like it. I think at that time, if you're gonna play a PS5 game, it would be that game, just to kind of experience what next gen was. Because yeah, like it doesn't take long to kind of show you that this game's going to be a visual feast. You're just gonna like everything's so polished and colorful. Um, Everything runs in so many frames. It's incredible. Everything loads so fast. Um, and yeah, I got that same feeling from playing the original games. It was just blowing stuff up, collecting the bolts, hearing the sounds, the gameplay loop, getting all the guns, upgrading all the guns and gadgets. Um, I like like the I like the narrative too. Um, I think there was a common theme this year, or just the recent years of like multiverses, and I'm all in on that. This game was no different. Um, I liked the addition of Jennifer Hale and Deborah Wilson as characters. I hope we can see them in future games because they were so fun, and they kind of own those roles to kind of be like the Ratchet and Clank of a different universe, but still be their own characters. Yeah, I want to replay it again next year, just because it's just so nice to look at and just so fun to play.
Did you have that next day off after the snowstorm?
I did not have the day off. Wait, what was your question?
The day after you went through the snowstorm to get your PlayStation? Did you have the day off of work? It sounds like it was a late night.
I did not have the day off of work.
It's dedication.
I went during my lunch hour.
And now
Oh, I see.
you'll always
Wow.
have that memory.
Mhm.
Hey,
Awful that day.
hey, Gabe, what'd you have for lunch? You went out. Oh, I had PlayStation.
Oh, I'm eating. Don't you worry.
I think what Ratchet and Clank has always done, at least the main games, they do a great job of drawing you in on the first level with like the vibrant colors and the atmosphere and the music. Like me and Brett just started Tools of Destruction, and even for a 15-year-old game, that the first level like really draws you in. So
15 years. That's
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Ratchet and Clank. It's one of my favorite series, and I really enjoyed Rift Apart. I just think it's not the best Ratchet and Clank.
sure. It's no Going Commando.
True, or Crack in Time, but it's very good. I mean, like I said, it was my number one for probably like a good 6 months. So
It's kind of sad they didn't have some kind of like crude subtitle for this game, unless I'm missing something.
they've been going away from that the last few games. So
Yeah.
which unfortunately, like, I don't know, all the
it makes sense with the games more serious now, but
like, I don't want to call it edge, but like, the older games always had those like jokes that
Right.
like as a kid, kind of went over your head, but like, or the innuendos or whatever, and I mean, like Cullen said, when we're playing through Tools of Destruction, this is my first time playing it, and like we've laughed at a good amount of jokes that are like still, and Ratchet's still in that game still kind of an asshole.
Sure.
So, and like they've gone away with that, which I think has taken out some of the charm. Like it had its own unique charm, and like it still does, but I feel like it's lessened. So, but I get it. Like it's opening up to more accessible, and it's a little more family friendly now.
it was the best launch of a Ratchet and Clank game. So
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah. No, still a great game.
Remember when they wanted to call All for One foreplay and Sony wouldn't let them?
Yep. That would have been a great title.
But you can do
That's
Going
amazing.
Commando, up your arsenal. Size matters. Come on.
Yeah. Crack in Time.
Yeah. Oh boy, good stuff. Quest for booty. Come. But foreplay is too much.
I love that.
Good stuff. I might replay that next year and see how I feel about it again. Because as we're replaying Tools, that was maybe my favorite one. It was either that or Up Your Arsenal, but now I'm starting to see its downfalls a little more. So
Watching me play it, yeah.
But we'll get to that. My number 3 came out 10 years ago, but I just played it. Oh, we have a visitor.
What's his favorite game of this year?
Since he's been, I don't know. What has been your favorite game this year?
Sudoku.
Sleeping.
Probably the Escape Room Simulator.
Nice.
It's a good joke, right?
It's like this second. I was like,
Yeah.
Did you watch you play it? Oh, okay. You got me.
Or My Pregnant Wife.
Great game.
My Pregnant Mom.
My number 3 was Sleeping Dogs. Raise your hand if you beat that game. Here's what I have to say about it. That is an absolute masterpiece if I've ever played one. Really, the only downfall of that game is the shooting, which was serviceable. But actually, my biggest complaint with it was if you had a gun, you would just randomly lose your gun. Like, you couldn't just keep it for some reason. The shooting was serviceable, but, it was basically, if you don't know, it's basically it's like Yakuza meets Grand Theft Auto meets Arkham game because
Arkham. Okay.
they use the Arkham combat like it's like a clone of that. But besides the shooting part, obviously, but hand to hand, very big emphasis in that game. Um, but like I think you can tell it was created by lots of former GTA developers. It feels very much like a next gen at the time, like Vice City or San Andreas. I think like it has a humor and um, like the story more akin to those type of games, if you know what I mean, versus GTA 4 or 5. Um, the story took a lot of turns, and the story was phenomenal. Like seriously, very good. They even like the bad people. They kind of made you care for them, like or at least what happens to them. Like
Some of them.
yeah, but like I don't know, you just get to know all the characters so well, and then they do some crazy shit in that game with the story, and I don't know that. Brett was telling. I remember I bought it in like 2015 on the PS4, and Brett was like, "You gotta play this," and I was like, "Nah." And then I probably should have played it sooner, but on the 10-year anniversary, you can't go wrong with that either. So,
Sure.
if you have not played Sleeping Dogs, please play it. It is seriously so good.
A man who never had pork bun is never a whole man.
There's a lot of great quotes in that too. Yeah.
A man who never shoot an ice cream vendor.
Oh yeah.
That was such a bad video. Gabe, I feel like we got to play Sleeping Dogs. I feel we were called out just now.
I feel like it too. Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to beat the main story if that's what you focus on. So, could be. And it goes on sale for like $5 all the time if you don't have it.
Yeah. If you follow Wario, he always tweets about sleepy dogs.
Sleepy Dogs. I know. That's so funny.
I really like I mean, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, it's a 10-year-old game at this point. Like,
No
you
spoilers.
play an undercover cop going in the triad, and like, so like every mission you do, if you're more violent, you get more triad points, and the more like good you play, you get more cop points, and then they have different upgrade paths.
By the way, if you're gonna play, always go for more violent because triad points are the hardest points to get.
Are the choices, are they pretty black and white, or is there?
Well, it's like if you like crash into like
Oh, I see.
you get
An ice
you
cream
lose
vendor.
cop, yeah, and you lose cop points basically, but you gain. And
So it's
yeah, it's not like a deep thing, but
it's just around the clock, like any gameplay that's happening. It could change.
more so like on missions.
I see.
Yeah.
But there's like a good amount of side content. I think one of my favorite things, and I don't see this a lot in games, maybe I'm not playing the right kind of games, is but like when you're driving, because I always hated like GTA chases, because like you would always get up the car and you would have to try to like hit them to get them to hit something to like stop.
Mm-hmm.
This game you have like a ram feature, like you can
like
pull
Burnout.
up next to someone and just boom, beat them off the fucking road.
Another cool thing it did, which interesting. We'll be back. Gabe will be back. Another interesting thing it did was Uncharted Drake's Fort or the Nathan Drake collection did this. I mean, it had like friend scores of all your friends on that platform, and like, if you were fighting people without getting hit for like 4 minutes, and Nathan, you had done it for 5 minutes, it would show me in the corner like my score going up, chasing your score. You're back. Very good. So that was pretty cool, and then you had the ability to replay any mission as well whenever you wanted to, so you could get more triad points or cop points. So, yeah, it was just lots of different costumes that do bonus status or like effects. I don't know, it's lots of great stuff. Honestly, we need a sequel, but I have a feeling if somebody makes a
studio.
Sequel, yeah, good thing Square Enix sold all their American studios now.
Right.
Could have had a sequel. But here we are. Play Sleeping Dogs.
Did you play the 360 version or the definitive version.
The definitive on the PS5. Actually, it's one of the few PS4 games that says you may experience issues while playing this on the PS5. And the issue I experienced, well, there were a couple minor things, but the main thing was if you try and hit continue on the like home screen or whatever, the main menu, it just crashes the game. So you have to go to load game and then load an autosave. If you try and load any save besides an autosave, it just crashes the game. But
It's weird.
yeah, there were a couple other minor things, but it's easily playable on PS5. So yeah.
Well, don't sleep on sleeping dogs. That's the takeaway there.
That's a great video title if I finish my video.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't have a play on words for my number 3. But my number 3 is the Banner Saga. This was a game I wrapped up back in January. I had a couple of days I had to take out for sick leave, and I just banged this one out. This is a strategy RPG game, much like Fire Emblem, games of that sort. The gameplay was great. I mean, it's grid based, but you had the one distinction that I remember was that there was 2, instead of just health and maybe magic or movement, action points, whatever it may be, there was 2 point values for each character. The first one was actually shared between strength and health. So characters who had been damaged by quite a bit couldn't do as much damage, and as characters who are at full health can do the most strength, but as you whittle that down, they're not able to damage as much. So that gameplay, I mean, it was very straightforward. It wasn't really the call or the draw of the game for me, but it felt like it scratched a niche of a game I haven't played in a while. And otherwise, atmosphere, like the art style is really great. It's a Saturday cartoon looking deal, and it's I believe it's hand drawn, but it's also just a really attractive visuals, in my opinion. And there's just a lot of cool Nordic motifs in like the architecture and the world and like how people dress. So it was really just a cool world that they put together. And then finally, caravan management. I mean, it felt like a really cool part of the game where much of the progression between encounter to encounter, or mission to mission, you were traveling as part of a caravan, of you and your people, and during those travels you would meet with different encounters. It could just be bandits on the road, or it could be different more complex dilemmas that you choose, which could result in you getting a character for your team, or it could remove like your food stores. So I mean, there's resources to the caravan deal where if you didn't have enough food to travel, the next encounter that you would be at, you would have different you would have debuffs essentially for your party because you didn't manage your food well. Same thing with like rest or morale as well. And it just allowed a lot of space for like dialogue and character growth, which was really great because it provides, in this really cool story, a lot of that constant in-person character interactions that your party was having, which is much like in Fire Emblem for sure, but I don't think not to that extent where you're able to have romantic relationships. But it was a fun game. I do want to get to the number 2 and number 3. There's a trilogy, so that's my number 3 for 2022.
That's on my to play list, so hopefully next year.
The way you describe every game just makes it sound so complicated and complex.
I mean, I guess I take different elements of the game and I just go details over it.
It's cool. It's like every time you describe a game, even a game I know, you like describe in a way that I've like heard nobody describe it. So it's cool.
You should make that like
Describe.
a YouTube playlist. Just let me describe like Uncharted.
Yeah, just like a 2 minute description of every game. That's our new series. Nate
Yep.
describes.
Describe Pong.
Well, so there's two panels, right? And
Yeah. My number 2 is a more recent game, Pokemon Scarlet. Um, this was the first Pokemon game that I was actually like excited to jump back into, probably since Black 2 came out in, what was that, 2013? Right?
Yeah, that
20,
sounds right.
2012, 2013, somewhere around there. Um, I mean, like, Gabe, you've played it. Um, it's got some issues. The internet will definitely let you know that. Um, however, I felt for the most part, like during my main story playthrough, I felt like it was there, but it wasn't like bad enough to where like it was throwing off my enjoyment of the game. Um, but like just having like your first open world Pokemon, um, I know Arceus was a little more open with the maps, but like everything wasn't connected versus like here, everything is connected. Um, this is also, Gabe, you might not agree with this, but like this is the first Pokemon rival in like a long time that I actually really liked. Um, like she was basically Goku. Like she's always wanting to fight you. And like having her actually like be a champion already and she's just kind of like letting you catch up to her kind of thing was really cool. Also the fact that like in this game you have the 8 gym leaders, you have the evil team, and then you have like these Titan Pokemon you need to fight. But once the game opens up, you can tackle that in any way that you want. Um, so I think I did 2 gym badges before I realized like doing the Titan Pokemon would get you new abilities for your mount, which was really cool. So I proceeded to just do the Titans next. I ended up doing the 6 Titan as like my third, I think. Um, but so that was like very hard, but like cool. And then I ended up doing the Worm Titan after. That looks like it's straight out of Mario Galaxy or something. Um, so but like there is an order in which you still want to do things. But you're free to do it however you want. I ended up fighting the 8th gym leader as the fifth. And then I ended up fighting, I think, the 6th one as my last one. So there was some like level issues there, but it's still a cool concept. And then the fact that like once you beat the champion, there's still story to do after that. The ending was a really big surprise for me. And there's a character who's like introduced in the first 30 minutes that I did not like, and like by the end of the game, like he's my favorite character. Um, Also, there's just a good variety of Pokemon. I like a lot of the new designs. The new, I guess, gimmick for this game is the uh Terra typing stuff where your Pokemon can have different types. Um is a unique concept, so I think it's one of the better ones. But yeah, very like this was just like a fun game to play. Like I had fun the whole time I was playing this game. So that's why it's my number 2.
I liked how that gimmick was kind of part of the story too.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just kind of like a throwaway thing like Z moves.
Yeah,
Remember that? Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Or Megas. Megas weren't really much of the story either. So
Mhm. I think we could maybe add to this discussion because Violet is my number 2 as well. On the subject of the rival, I agree with you. I feel like in recent years the rival has been kind of like a pushover or like a sidekick character to you, whereas in this one, Nimona did feel like an actual rival. It gave me like not quite like Deku and Bakugo for My Hero. She's not angry like Bakugo, but just
Mm-hmm.
they have like they both know that they want to make each other better people, even if they go about it in different ways. Um, and yeah, just like my thoughts on the game. I love that it is open world. Um, RCS was RCS was kind of a taste of that, but it was still like separated by like
Mm-hmm.
the areas. But this felt truly like open world. Um, I haven't really felt the way about this about a Pokemon game like I have about this one in years, like since I was a kid. Um, like I can't think of the last time I was up until 2 in the morning playing Pokemon.
I've seen you like pop online sometimes, and I'm like, normally this dude should be sleeping right now.
I saw so many people online at the same time. It's like, yes, we're all playing Pokemon. Uh, I like the variety of Pokemon. It makes it more replayable to me. For my first playthrough, I just went with all like new Pokemon, whereas in my future playthroughs, I feel like I'll have so many different varieties that I could have as a party. Um, I like what this did with quality of life improvements with the series, such as like what you can do in the overworld, what, whether it be like avoiding wild Pokemon or trainers or items which are like everywhere and they seem to respawn, just super nice. Um, being able to being able to to a battle um, without having to go into the battle sequence. I wish it, I wish they would have done that with catching Pokemon too, like they did in RCS.
Yeah.
Um, Traversal was cool. I hope that they keep not making you have to learn fly to get around or like other moves. Yeah, and like what Brett said, I like the narrative too, because it goes there. I didn't think it would go there. I just thought it would be pretty standard. You beat the Elite Four, you fight the bad guy team, game over. Um, yeah, it was just a good gameplay loop. I think that's why we would stay up until two in the morning, just because it is open world with its mechanics. It's easy just to get to a new area and just clear it out and just catch every Pokemon, get experience, battle trainers, get experience. Just the gameplay loop of what you can do to gain experience and feel like you're becoming stronger. It's really rewarding. Um, and on the technical issues, yeah, they're not great, and it's this game has received such a interesting response where I feel like most people feel the same way. Like we love it, but we also don't like it in some ways when it comes to um, technicalities of it. Um, I think for me, playing RC has kind of prepared me for it. Just knowing what Game Freak wants to do in this in like a open world maybe is like ambitious for for the Switch, or maybe they just need more people. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Only thing I have to add is that you would think for the most biggest company, or franchise in the world, that they should be able to iron those out before it launches. And that's, I think, what is the biggest complaint that everyone has. Like, there's a few like random glitches, bugs here, there, whatever, but like a Pokemon game should not run like shit. So, I don't know. That's just what I think everyone is mostly mad about, and I can see why.
Yeah, I don't want to like pin it all on Game Freak because like they do have deadlines that the Pokemon company sets, but like I do feel like if Arceus would have came out in November instead, and we would have got Scarlet and Violet next year, I feel like both games would have ran and played a lot better. So.
My number 2, it kind of pains me to say this, but is Elden Ring. And it only pains me because it's like neck and neck with my number 1. But let's see. We all know when this game launched how many memes and new type of videos there were of people exploring Limgrave and Maidenless and all kinds of things like that.
Touched grass.
Yeah, it was brilliant marketing, honestly.
80,000 ways to pronounce the first boss's name.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say this is a really great opening, like, and the fact you can just go anywhere and get destroyed by the knight in the beginning, right when you do touch the grass outside. You get destroyed by him, but it's the beauty of playing a Souls game on launch is that everyone is finding out things together. You're like finding out OP weapons, and then before they get nerfed, or you're finding out like secrets. Like I remember when you got teleported to that ridiculously ass hard place and you didn't know how to leave. Like stuff like that is cool. It happened to 2 of my other friends, but it didn't happen to me. So just really cool playing a Souls game at launch. I do think the games just slowly got, I don't want to say worse, but like the beginning was really well done, and then it's the ending, or like the middle and the end were not as well done. The optional dungeons were like reusing the same bosses, which I don't really have a problem with that. Like some people do, but I don't. It's optional content anyway. It's like the Chalice dungeon in Bloodborne. You just fight some of the same bosses over and over. But a lot of the bosses are really cool, really well done. Very frustrating game sometimes until you get the clone. What is it called?
The Mimic.
Yeah, the Mimic tier, and if you have the Sword of Night and Flame, that just melted everything. They patched it, of course, but I'm excited for the DLC. I'll probably go back and platinum the PS4 version eventually, because I did the PS5 version. But great game, not my favorite Souls game, but it is a great game, and I love how it changed. Kind of hopefully make people realize that, just games. I don't know how to word what I'm about to say. Like, I feel like it kind of changed gaming and like brought everyone together, and realizing things together, and just releasing, like, it kind of felt like a quadruple A game versus a triple A game, if you know what I mean. Like, it was like a tier above everything else this year and in recent years, so I do really appreciate that it did that.
I think that's an interesting take. I think with what Twitter and YouTube and all that we're living in, as far as like really just how connected we are, it feels like Souls-like games, those AAA Souls-like games, when they come out, there's just so much online discourse, and that, I think if there was a genre of games that you would want to prioritize purchases over, once a year or every other year, whatever it may be, like that's the kind of game you would choose, because I think there's a rare opportunity to really feel as part of a larger community that's typically only reserved in a multiplayer setting.
Yeah, same thing happened with Sekiro in that launch. That was the first one I played at launch, and just discovering everything together with the community, and then you go on Reddit and post it, or someone just beat you to it 10 minutes ago. It's really refreshing to like feel that, because it's not like just Uncharted. You go here and you shoot and you progress a story. There's so many different ways you can do things. So, yeah.
Elden Ring felt special for me as like an outsider to like Soul series, because it seemed to kind of make like a niche genre of games more mainstream, just based off of how many copies it sold, which is like a crazy amount.
Yeah.
Like millions. So it's really cool to see like a genre of game just become mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So that others could experience it.
Especially with like a winning game of the year now, like like it's gonna like From Software is like definitely gonna be on a lot more people's radars now.
Yeah, especially they also won 2019 with Sekiro. They won Game of the Year, so Armored Core next year.
Flames of Rubicon. Sam, get the Allspark.
Put the cube in my chest.
Put Miyazaki in my chest.
Nice. Let them come.
Prime.
Oh boy.
My number 2 game is Total War Warhammer 3. This is the capstone of like 6 years of content. There was 3 Total War Warhammer games, all of which the third one is built a campaign where you can select over 90 different, very different, unique factions and races to honestly play probably one of the greatest sandboxes, for sure, one of the greatest sandboxes I've ever played in. There's so many diverse and unique factions, and it's a great game to kind of get into Warhammer lore a little bit, because there's like an in-game encyclopedia that covers different characters and their histories and their place in the lore. The battle gameplay is amazing. Just being able to do the things that you can do, and it really is an outrageous game to see. Just kind of the clashes that can occur when you like, if you imagine what the word rat ogre, what that looks like that's a unit in the game, a rat ogre, or just different things like that. It's just really amazing. So the game is building on like over 30 different, at least I think maybe 30 different DLCs from the last 6 years. And if you have all those DLCs, you're able to collect each and every faction leader character into one huge campaign that is honestly ridiculously large sized map. They're still going to add more content in different factions, and it's seriously, I honestly, just for the sake of gaming, it's really just the scale of what they're trying to do. A game that has 6 years of content typically is something, like an MMO or a free to play battle royale game. Like, this is just a straight up real time strategy game, where people are just able to jump into different situations and have really dope cinematic battles, great campaign gameplay. It's just extremely satisfying game. I don't know. It is actually, it's just a hard game for me to describe because there's just so much there. So that's my, routine podcast reminder that Total War is a franchise everybody should try to dip into. Identify whatever seems interesting or whatever setting seems interesting, and if you can do it, try it. But Total War Warhammer 3 is just a ridiculous amount of content. Yeah.
I looked up that rat ogre and yeah, it's
Yep.
totally what I expected that to look like. And it's still ridiculous.
Yeah. And just to see those things, like a group of them jump into like a bunch of poor people getting destroyed by those things and blood splurting everywhere. It's like, oh my god, this shit is outrageous. Here's another one, Hell Pit Abomination. That can tell me what that looks like in your head, I'll be greatly surprised. But that's another unit you could find in that game. Hell Pit Abomination.
Is it a bird?
It's 3 words.
That's
Plain.
gross.
Yeah, that thing is.
Yeah.
That thing looks like it'd be in like a horror movie version of Hercules.
You mean Huncules?
Hercules.
Yeah. You mean Hercules?
All right. My number 1, Gotham Knights. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
I haven't even bought the game yet. My number 1, Uncharted 4. You've all beat this, right? I think so.
Uncharted.
I played this at launch, and I got up to the.
Hold on. Clearly, you have a problem with playing PlayStation games at launch and then not playing them for many years.
It's not my preferred system. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's classic.
Or maybe he has a brother that is advertised PlayStation quite a bit in the home.
That doesn't change the fact that you should just play the game.
I mean, he could try the game and then come back to it later when the pressure is less.
Okay. Anyway, I think in the story, I got up to the prison escape, and then we played a lot of multiplayer, and then the multiplayer just infuriated me, so I just stopped playing. Anyway, I got back into it. I really like that this was like a more personal tale. Like it wasn't like there wasn't like any mythical shit going on like the first 3 games had, you know. This was a very Nathan Drake story. Yeah, the flashbacks with his brother, which were very well done. A more personal story with Sam, and then you got the whole Elena thing going on in the background where like he's doing this behind her back and he's like worried she's gonna find out, and then all this shit. And like the beginning sequence, I think, was when you were like on the boat, right? And you're going to the island. Yeah. Very much like the train sequence from 2. And then you finally get back to that point. And I got to that island, and I think that was the start of chapter 13. And like that felt like a good, like almost ending, you know? Like you were almost close to the ending. And then I found out there was still like 8 or 9 chapters after that. And I'm like, holy shit. And like, there were just so many moments in the story where I'm like, okay, I'm coming up on the finale. And then they throw another bamboozle at you, something else. And just, it kept me going. The gameplay was great. I think the grapple hook was a really good addition. But honestly, like it's Uncharted. It's just refined what you played before. Had some new mechanics, but they didn't change a whole lot. And that was really nice because it just felt so tight and so good to play. And playing this on PS5, like getting the haptic feedback when you're shooting was like really weird at first, but like I grew accustomed to it, and then it was really nice. So very, very well done game.
What was I about to say? I can't even remember. I was going to ask a question, but I can't recall.
One of my favorite parts of that game was towards the end. It's a conversation between Nathan and Elena. They're going up this like elevator type thing.
The elevator bridge.
Yeah. It's like not even a cutscene. It's just like what they do in those games, or they just talk in like the overworld. Like it's such a like it's like a breath of like what I'm trying to say. Like it's just in the midst of like all this combat they've just been in and out of. It's just such a nice, peaceful scene that feels so real, just between this couple that has gone through their ups and downs. You just feel like they've come so far from the first game,
for better or worse.
right?
And then you drive through that peaceful in the Jeep. You drive through the peaceful little thing with the music playing. Yeah.
So good.
What I was gonna ask was, what was your guys' favorite set piece, if you remember? I think the problem with me was they spoiled all the set pieces in the trailers, and that's kind of what led me to not watch trailers anymore after that game came out.
Sure.
Because then I already knew what was going to happen, so I didn't enjoy the set pieces as much because I already knew them all.
Mine's the one with the Jeep driving through the city.
That was very good. There's a point where it's when you're like on the island, but you're still trying to find the entrance to the pirate lair, and like you just go up that one like tower thing and you look out, and like it's not even like really that big of a thing, but I was just like, this is that good shit.
Mm-hmm. It's that Naughty Dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Should we have Nathan go next, or?
I'm just gonna say, um, just to answer your question, Cullen.
Oh yeah.
I think probably my favorite set piece in that game, or I'd say scenes. But I don't know. There's 2
Favorite
points.
scene, yeah.
Favorite scene. Something about the dinner scene, the home dinner in the beginning, just felt really.
Real.
It felt real. Yeah. It kind of made me like the eating dinner,
Playing
being
video games.
playing video games, being wistful about the past. Well, at least Nathan was, and he was trying to hide that. That felt like a real emotion that people have. Like,
Or the face animation too in that scene, or the whole game.
yeah,
Obviously, but
trying to, for Nathan to try to sequester that away, in which he physically did when he went up to the basement and started shooting and like all with the toy gun, and trying to like him recollecting the stories was like, oh my god, this franchise is like, it's trying to pull strings for people who really think about the past and like different memories.
yeah. Great game.
I can share mine next. My number one is Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, this game's franchise was just kind of made for me. Like I'm a big fan of like robotic things and like mechs and yeah, this game is just so cool. It improved upon like everything from the first game. Um, Mainly the combat. They just made it so much more. Um, they opened it up a lot, so you get different options for different weapons and different like gadgets. Um, the open world, they also made better. They made the side quests seem more meaningful with like kind of like main ones and like still even ones that seem like they were just like short and meaningless still felt cool because it helps you like understand the world more, like the characters. Um, I like the traversal in that game because there's like different mounts you can ride on the ground, and then they introduce like aerial mounts to explore the world from the sky, um, and which would be easy to make clunky and hard, but they nailed it. They made it seamless just to like fly around and explore. Um, I thought they improved on the environment environmental storytelling through like the side quests and the different collectibles that like that the one series of quests where you have to like line up the um, like the visual to like so it shows like a part like the past, like what the place looked like. Like Ratchet and Clank, also a visual feast. Just different terrains and how just each one looks so unique and just beautiful, gorgeous. The creature and the character design, I like that they brought back the same machines from the last game, but introduced so many more, and they all look so cool. Um, and then they like made the characters unique too by having like the different tribes. It just made the regions you went to feel different. Just made the whole game feel like a living world with the different politics of the tribes um, and kind of with Pokemon Violet, the narrative kind of went in a place where I didn't think it would go, and I love that, and I like what they did to set up the third game. It feels like it's going to be just like a giant epic, um, and I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for the DLC. Sometimes I go back just to like explore the world and listen to music, just because it's so easy to get lost in, just to ride on your mount from place to place, watching all the machines just doing their thing. Um, yeah, great game.
I haven't started that one yet, but I beat the first one finally this year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So after I play the DLC, I'm gonna jump into the second one because I don't want to have to go backwards. That probably won't end very well.
I think it's so
fine,
understandable.
but yeah.
Yeah,
But might as well just do the DLC and then go to the.
Are there still collectibles in the game that, if I remember right from the first one, and it's actually kind of one of the weird draws that make me want to play the first one again, is like were there collectibles? I think there were, and are there collectibles in the second one that provided information about what the world like was before and how it got to that point?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Okay. That kind of deal makes me, because that world is just so different than what we've seen in fiction. Kind of makes me want to know how it got to that point.
Yeah,
I will say that was one of the. I don't really like the story in the first one. I, but the lore building, like with the collectibles, and then finding out about the past and how it got to there, kind of like what Nate was just saying, was really well done. So yeah, I do want to see more of that.
me too.
My number one was Sifu. Sifu. All right, here's the thing. Rage-inducing moments for sure. Brett's gonna say some shit, but if you're going for the platinum, especially when it came out, there was no difficulty. It was just the one. Just the one setting. So, little rage-inducing, but it's kind of like learning how to master a Souls game, but with combat. But like the first time you go through the hallway and you just wreck everybody, it feels so good. And then like it's kind of like what I was talking about with Elden Ring, like learning secrets and shortcuts. There was a lot of that for Sifu as well at the beginning. Be like, oh, you can take this dude down in one hit if you grab this item right before him, and it's like a big mini boss or whatever. So it was really cool to see that, and just like once you like beat the game once, and then if you go back and replay it, it's like a completely different game because you're so much better at the game and you know where everything is. And it's kind of a really refreshing feeling. The game is only $40, so it's not breaking your bank. It kind of has endless replayability depending on how much you like it, I guess. But they've dropped a couple updates. I think another one's coming out soon or just came out. They added difficulties. They added a bunch of skins. It's just a really great game. I hope they do a DLC for it or a sequel. I found the bosses to be really well done in all very different styles of bosses, like all different combat styles, and then you kind of have to put everything together near the end and take everything you learn throughout all the levels to finish the last level, which cool thing. There's a lot of games like you'll do something in the beginning, like with the gadget or whatever, and then it kind of just disappears and you completely forget about it. But this game, you don't forget about anything. Or if you did forget about it, you kind of have to relearn it, and then it makes the game harder again. So if you haven't played Sifu, I recommend it, but don't play it on the Switch, please. It's not powerful enough to handle that.
Don't play it at 7 in the morning either, because you might wake your roommates up from yelling.
Or you could get your
Could
mouse.
sleep better.
Yeah. Well, it's because you had to work late at night. I get it, but
I remember their studio name is just branded into my brain. I think it's a great name, Slow Clap. They I'm glad that they made the decision to pivot from their previous game, Absolver, which was that multiplayer fighting game that I think everybody was clamoring for. How just the details of the fighting mechanics in there, but then with just the fact that it was multiplayer, just I think it kind of took a lot of wind out of the sails for the game.
How old were you when you beat the game?
the first time?
Yeah.
I think I was like 55.
8 years from Social Security checks?
Yeah. I actually remember I was doing pretty well until the third level with the kunai or whatever. That boss wrecked my shit.
Yeah.
And then the final boss also wrecked my shit. But yeah. Ooh, great game. I should replay that.
Well, my favorite game of 2022 is Witcher 2. At the pace that Witcher 3 is going, or just how that trend is looking, it probably would take number one, but I feel like I haven't seen enough of Witcher 3 to warrant taking Witcher 2's place. So it was an RPG. It is an RPG that is, but sure.
It was an RPG, but it's not anymore. Now it's an action game.
You're right. Genres change. It is a game. How about that? That of a genre that typically is of a longer playthrough required time. It was very respectful, I think, of my time, and I think it was only 3 main chapters and a prologue and epilogue, which was really great because it was condensed. You got to the meat of the game, the meat of the story a lot quicker. There was side quests, but you would often more find side quests that would be entwined with the progression of the main quest. So the side quests may be optional, but doing them will impact your main playthrough, your main story playthrough. But they were, for the most part, just really great side quest material. Really just an atmosphere that was really even there's a particular, I think it's chapter 1. Yeah, there's a theme, a musical theme that plays during just general exploration of that first chapter 1's area, and it's a theme that just is really heavy with a lot of history behind it. If you've read the books or played the game, it's just with that location and what Geralt, the main character, is doing. It just built to an atmosphere of the game where just typical Witcher, where it's dark, it's with people who are real and who are very nuanced in how they live their life. They're not binary good and evil. They're just feels like real human beings. And the story was just, it was just a really great emotional story. not, I wouldn't even say emotional. It was just really intriguing because there was a lot of politicking, and Geralt is at his best as a character when he's having to be immersed in really gray political situations and having to make choices that affect nations and groups of people. Because there are groups in the game that are nationless, and that's a huge part of the themes of Witcher, where there are peoples who are othered, um, and but yeah, going back to that, I mean, the story is a really great tie-in or starting to lead up to Witcher 3. But it was just, honestly, it was just a really great, tight RPG that was respectful of time. I loved being a Witcher in that game, although there were some elements that I feel could have been a little bit more refined. I miss in Witcher 1 the alchemy system. In Witcher 2, the alchemy system was a little bit drawn back and not as complex. So, but I think it was just a number one for me because it did a lot of things right and very little wrong.
Toss a coin for your Witcher.
Yep.
Witcher 3 is on my list to finally beat next year. And maybe 2. I own it on Steam, so yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I wish I could talk a lot more about Witcher 3 because I feel like I have a lot more just just enthusiasm that has no boundaries for Witcher 3, but I'm gonna wait.
Next year.
That'll be next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about it together if I beat it.
There you go. Well,
I think the next gen patch comes out this week. I think.
Yep,
So.
Friday. Well,
How many hours did you play?
of Witcher 2?
Yeah.
I think close to 50.
Nice.
Like I said, it's an RPG that respects my time, but I mean, like I gave that example for Witcher 3 a couple weeks ago or a month ago. So much of my time in RPGs is just walking around, enjoying the atmosphere. So 50 for other gamers who are much more inclined to who enjoy other parts of the game more than just walking through a crowd of people could probably finish it in like 20 or 25.
Well, that was our top games of the year 2022 that we played. Next episode we'll most likely be discussing our favorite upcoming games. Not what am I saying favorite for? Our most anticipated games for next year, and we're also going to go over our tournament bracket of the year.
I haven't looked. Yeah,
I haven't looked.
Wow, I already know I'm out of that running. So,
Nate, you might have had a comeback with Ragnarok.
Really?
I mean, got some good reviews. So, remember, anything over 90 is double points.
Yeah, are we gonna make a new draft then?
Yeah, we'll probably do that all next episode probably. We gotta do it before the year starts, so yeah. I haven't looked. Is Gabe, are you looking right now?
we would have to do it next episode because it's the one after that's Christmas. So
yep. I could do a Christmas special.
No.
Outside. Well, Gabe, who's winning?
So I'm in the lead by only 10 points. Both you and Brett are basically in second and third.
And I'm
with
like
the same points. You're eighth, yeah.
How? I felt like I was out of the running because half my games are next year.
Do you pick some good games like Xenoblade and Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves?
All mine
Those
came out at
got you
the
some
beginning
points.
of the year too. Most of mine. So I kind of peaked early. But Better than last year when I had 7 points.
Right.
Hey, maybe next year Prince of Persia will come out.
Doubtful. But I will play it if it does. Will I pick it? Probably not, no.
Well, 2022 is almost a wrap. I think this episode is at a wrap. So I would like to say thank you all for spending the time with us today. And I would like my friends to add wishes of farewell as they'd like.
Toodles.
Thank you guys for watching again. Check out our other content.
I agree. Also, check out my new album, Slippery Situations, on streaming platforms near you. So long.
It's a great album name.
It's a great album too. So yeah,
Slippery Situations.
it's the
Yikes.
progression of a relationship with somebody. So from
Oh.
the beginning to the end. So it's a
Ooh,
a concept album?
Concept
Yeah,
album.
concept.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
took me like 2 straight years to make, but yeah, worth it. So check that out. Slippery Situations.
I'm intrigued.
I sent it to you guys. All right. Well,
Is it on Dat Piff or Sound?
It's on
or
your young Spotify
oof. Oh yeah. Okay.
or anything else that YouTube music, you know.
Situations. Should we start from the first track, or
Yeah,
how would you
should
recommend?
definitely start. Just go in order. Just listen to it in one session. It's only 10 songs, and really it's only 9 because the last song's a remix. So, yeah, listen to it in order. It's probably like 30 minutes. Yeah. You found it?
I'm on your albums page right now.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Ooh, I love tracks that are all in capital letters.
All right. Well, thank you for watching or listening. Check out our YouTube if you're listening. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube, you can check out our other videos on YouTube. Or if you want to listen to this on your next long ass drive, you can do that too. So, see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.